Okay. Good morning, Cardinals. My name is Rachel Berkeley, and I am the Graduate Assistant for Education Abroad here at North Central. I am here with Joanna Bondich Mijas, right? Mijas?
Maybe, yeah,
Mejias.
yeah.
There we go. Sorry. Oh my goodness. The director of the International Center at Universidad Pablo de Olavide, which is in Sevilla. So I am very excited to be here with Joanna today, especially because I personally studied abroad at UPO myself in 2016. So I'm excited to hear more about this program and learn a little bit more just about UPO and Sevilla itself. Um, so I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. So just a couple of reminders. So the Education Abroad application deadline for North Central is coming up on November 10th. So those applications are through our office first, and then we help you through the process at a later point, and we help you kind of guide that process and help you to get your applications into our host institutions. And then secondly, the advising link to my advising calendar, I will post in the chat so that that can be accessed and you can see that. But I would like to start off just maybe, Joanna, if you wouldn't mind giving a little bit kind of an overview or a quick summary of kind of what UPO is in a nutshell, I guess.
Okay. So we've been running the study abroad program for about 20 years now. We started off with a group of about 27 students, and our biggest semester we had 499 students, just from all over, mostly United States, but also from Canada. We get a group from Germany as well, and Japan, and then just various other nationalities. We offer courses in both Spanish and English. So if you don't have, or if you have very basic Spanish skills, you can come and take a lot of our classes in English. We have classes, for example, not just in history and art, Spanish art and Spanish history, but we have classes in culture, psychology. We have science classes with a lab component in English as well. We have cinema classes. We even have a literature class in English. And then political science, economics, business. We have quite a few business classes in English as well. And then, of course, a wide variety of classes, of course, is in Spanish as well. And we usually look for, we help students, actually we have 3 interns every semester. This is a strange semester now because of the COVID, but normally we would have three interns in our office. So they're Spanish students who work at, who study at our university, and they organize social activities and cultural activities for the students. So it's fun because you really get to, if you want to meet Spanish students, you have every opportunity to do so. And then we're a unique campus, so there's a metro that comes right up to campus, and everything's all in one place, on one campus. You don't have to be running around the city looking for different buildings. It's nice and green, lots of flowers, birds chirping. It's a fun place.
Amazing. Yes, and it truly is such a beautiful campus too. So from my experience at least. I'm wondering if you can touch a little bit on the academic system and how it differs from the US system in terms of comparing kind of how academics work in Spain, specifically at UPO, but also how it differs from possibly how North Central or just in the US in general.
Okay, well, this program, it's the Hispanic Studies program, is really geared towards international students, and it's geared mainly towards the North American system of education. So there is ongoing evaluation. Students have quizzes, tests, papers, presentations, depending on each course. Participation counts as well, and of course, attendance is mandatory. It's very easy to just go off and start traveling around Europe and forget that you're there to study. So we do have mandatory attendance, although students are allowed a few absences during the semester. And I mean, the Spanish system, if students decide to take a course with Spanish students, this would be either a business major for classes in English or someone with a highly advanced Spanish skills. Those classes are becoming also more similar to the Anglo-Saxon way of teaching. It's also continuous evaluation, et cetera. It's not like the way in the olden days where the professor would just come, give a lecture, and then just leave, and that's it. There is a lot more interaction nowadays, and there isn't just one final exam, although in a lot of the classes with Spanish students, a lot more weight is on the final exam or final paper, more so than little projects during the semester. But it also depends on the faculty, on the department, etc.
So you touched a little bit on the language piece. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how the kind of the levels of language? Do I have to know any Spanish in order to come to Sevilla to study at UPO?
Actually, you don't. We have language classes at 6 levels, so starting from complete elementary. So that's an intensive course. It meets 4 days a week, Spanish 101, 102. And then from there, we go on to elementary. So that's 102. It's basically the second half of 101 to 102 for students who've had at least a semester. And then we go up to intermediate 1. We have intermediate 2, advanced 1, and advanced 2. So depending on your level, you have a Spanish placement exam on the first day as soon as you get to the UPO. And according to the results of that placement exam, you're placed at the level that's best for you.
Awesome, I love that. And there's also a placement test that students take before still. At least there was when I was there, but do you take a test to kind of gauge where your language is if you are thinking about taking a language class?
Before you come to Seville?
Yes, yeah. Or do you take it when you're there still?
Yeah, you take it actually on the first day. The first day you arrive, you take your placement exam, and then you get a tour of the campus. And then the next day we have the orientation session. You get the results of your placement exam, and then you make the changes during the add and drop period to the classes that you think would better fit your schedule or that are in accordance to the results of that placement exam. There are students who, for example, will say, "Oh, I have advanced skills," and then they get to Spain and realize, well, maybe they're not so advanced, they're more at the intermediate level, or vice versa. So then they make the changes to their schedule to get into the language class that's best for them.
Awesome, perfect. Okay. My next question is about housing and accommodation. So can you talk a little bit about how kind of that the housing placement works? Because typically, I guess, or what are the housing options overall?
Okay, so the housing option that we offer at the university is with a host family, so the local host family. If students want to live in an apartment, we can provide them with information, but we don't participate in that process. So most students do choose to live with a host family. I think sometimes students would think, oh, that's going to, really restrict me, but it really doesn't. They have their key, they come and go as they want, they get all their meals. A lot of times they get along really well with the host family. It's great for their Spanish. They meet more people also through the host family. And now for the spring semester, the only changes we'll be making due to the pandemic is that we'll be limiting one student per family. So they'll have their own bathroom, their own room, and it'll just be one student per family. So kind of minimizing risks for everyone.
Okay. And how does that placement work? Is there something that students are able to kind of preference, or say I don't speak in the best Spanish and I kind of struggle with that? How does that kind of work? Is there a kind of placement system that you have in place?
Yeah, they fill out a questionnaire, and so our housing coordinator takes care of that, Lola. And they fill out a housing questionnaire where they talk about their preferences, if they prefer to be, if they really would like a host family that speaks English. There aren't really that many of them, but if that's an option, if that's something they absolutely want, so we'll try. Although we encourage them not to ask for that because I think it's good for their Spanish. When you're
Yes.
forced to learn a language, you learn it faster. And then they can put down food preferences if they're vegetarian, or also if they prefer to live on their own or with another student, although in the spring that won't be an option. If they're allergic, if they have any allergies to dogs, cats, etc. So all those questions are on the questionnaire, and then we match them. If they're outgoing, if they like to go out, or if they prefer to, just to hang out with the family, so all those things are on the questionnaire, and then we match them. And usually it's the families have a lot of experience hosting all these different students for all during these years. So usually we're pretty good with the matching.
I love that. And personally, I had such a great host family experience. I had a host abuela, and then she had a caretaker in our house, and she was phenomenal. And just the family worked together to kind of make sure that myself and the other student who lived with me made sure that we had everything. And it was truly such a phenomenal experience. And I wouldn't change it for the world. They were so sweet, so caring, and it really felt like I had a family while I was abroad. So it kind of made me feel like I
Mhm.
had a home away from home, which was amazing. So I loved the host family experience for sure. And I know a lot of my friends who I also came with from North Central as well, they also had really great host families. So I think you
Oh,
guys
good.
do
So glad
such a
to
great
hear
job with that.
that.
I was going to ask you something about the language. So, when you're studying Spanish, here we typically study a lot of times it's like the Latin American Spanish. Can you maybe touch a little bit on kind of the difference maybe between Spain Spanish, but then specifically that Andalusian acento andaluz that might be a little bit difficult, and if there's ways that might help students, or maybe there's ways that you have any tips, I suppose, on kind of differentiating between the Spanish and the accents.
I mean, the main difference I think between Latin American and Spanish in Spain is the th sound. So instead
Mhm.
of the s, although in Seville that's different because there are people from Seville who are what they call ceseantes. So they say that they pronounce all the s's just like in South America. They also speak very fast here, and especially in the South, which is kind of the opposite as in the States, where in the South they tend to speak slower. Here they speak faster and they drop all the S's. So where there's an S, they'll drop it. So it could be a little bit intimidating at the beginning. I know when I first came here, my Spanish was pretty low. I studied French, and so I had to learn Spanish. And when people are speaking to me, I'm like, wait, where's that middle part of the word? I'm not getting it. So just be patient. You'll see that Spanish people are very expressive. They use their hands a lot, and they'll find ways to communicate um, what they want to communicate to you. So definitely just be patient and just go with the flow, and don't be embarrassed that you don't understand. Just keep saying otra vez, más despacio, and tell people that you don't know what they're saying, and they'll just find other ways to tell you.
Yes, for sure. That was something that took me aback personally, something that I was surprised when I came to Sevilla as a Spanish major myself at the time. I was very taken aback, but then by the end of my time in Sevilla, I found myself speaking a little with the Sevillana twang to it. So awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, I guess I have one last question. So, as well, you're now a Sevillana, a true Sevillana native. If I were to come to Sevilla as a North Central College student studying abroad, what can't I miss in the city of Sevilla or in Spain in general, like in the surrounding areas? What can't I miss? If I only was there for my semester abroad, what do I have to see?
Well, you have to get to know Seville because I know sometimes students spend so much time traveling off to London and Paris and all these other cities, and they don't get to know the surrounding areas. I mean, downtown, the cathedral, the Giralda, the Museum of Fine Art, the area by the river. Downtown is just, it's beautiful. It's really a pretty city, as you know.
Mhm.
And then in the surrounding areas, towns like Ronda, which is about an hour and a half from here. It's up in the mountains. It's got a huge gorge, and it's an old city, really nice views. It's definitely a place to go spend the day. Aracena, there's some caves in Aracena that are worth seeing, and also just hiking through the hills of Aracena. That's about an hour away. Then, of course, the more famous cities like Cordoba, which is about an hour and a half away. I believe on the AVE, the high-speed train, you can get there in 45 minutes. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you're really short on time, you can get there fast. So Cordoba is beautiful as well. Granada, of course, about 2.5 hours away. Malaga is also very nice. So yeah, there's definitely lots to see. And then of course we have Morocco. Well, Portugal's an hour and a half away, the border. So the southern coast of Portugal, we love going there. And any part of Portugal
Mhm.
is really nice. And then Morocco is not too far away either. And then you have other parts of Spain like the north, and so there's just lots of discover. I've been here for about 20 years, and there's still parts of Spain that I'm discovering.
Amazing. It is truly, truly so beautiful, and I miss it so much. Okay, well, I think that is all the questions that I have for you right now. And let's see, it looks like I don't have any from any students at all. So I think we can end here. So I will.